Hey guys, it's your girl, Ashley. Exciting news, I'm going to BookCon in New York City in the beginning of June. So I will be doing vlogs and meeting authors and meeting up with other writers and hopefully other booktubers. I'm just super new to booktube, so we'll see if little old me can, meet up with some people. But if you're going to be at BookCon, comment below. I would love to meet people. I know I don't have a lot of followers right now, but I'm still really excited. I'm not one for long intros, so I'm just gonna go ahead and dive right in. Today I will be doing my April wrap-up. I read 6 books. Half of them I would say are audiobooks, and the other half was in person, or I actually only read 1 physical book, and the other ones I used my Scribd app to read. Honestly, it is my favorite app ever because you get a lot of audiobooks for free and a lot of really good other books. So the first book that I read was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I already knew going in that this was going to be a great book. In fact, I got people at my work to also read it. So we had like a little book club and we went and got lunch when we finished and went through some questions and discussed the books. It was exactly how I thought it was going to be. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing. And I'm not usually one to read adult contemporary fiction, and it's even like historical fiction. So it's about the Hollywood starlet Evelyn Hugo, and she has had a pretty scandalous life. She has been known for having 7 husbands throughout her life, and she is ready to tell the truth about her life in a tell-all book, and she chooses an unknown magazine reporter named Monique to write the story for her. A part of the story is figuring out why Monique was the one that was chosen to tell the story, and also getting the full detail in why she was married to 7 people. I loved the book so much. I think my favorite thing about it was that the characters felt so realistic. I know that Evelyn as a character was based off of real life starlets, Elizabeth Taylor, a couple other ones you could see some inspiration from. Evelyn was a morally gray character for sure. In the beginning, she was all about doing whatever it takes to get what she wants, and seeing her thought process and how unapologetic she was about getting what she wanted, it was really refreshing to read that, and I love a good morally gray character. Monique was the least interesting character. The way that it's written is it's in an interview. So Monique's the narrator, and then she's sitting down with Evelyn, and then you get flashbacks of Evelyn's life as Evelyn's telling the story. So Evelyn's flashbacks were the interesting part, and then Monique's wasn't super interesting, but I could see why she was necessary to be part of the book. But overall, I loved it so much, and I would read it again. I don't want a physical copy, but I will be probably buying one because I liked it so much. So 5 out of 5, loved it. The next book I read was a memoir, and it's Educated by Tara Westover. This was a pretty popular book, I think in 2018. I thought it was such an interesting read. So Tara was raised in a Mormon survivalist household in rural Idaho. She didn't go into a classroom until she was 17 years old, and that was because she was going to college. And so she's had a very, very unique experience growing up. And for people reading that is not, the way that she grew up is not at all the traditional Mormon culture. And you'll see, if you read it, you'll see that even as they went to church, like, that their family was kind of still like the odd ones out. That's not a good representation of that religion as a whole. So that's just something to keep in mind. But just in all aspects, she had a very unique upbringing, and it was really interesting to hear her kind of, as an adult, go through what she was thinking back then and be able to tie in, oh, I grew up like this, so this is why I'm reacting in this certain way. And she kept a journal throughout much of her life, and so it was interesting for her to like go through what she wrote in her journal, and then as she asked her siblings later growing up what they remembered. And she was very upfront about how her memories weren't always in line with what her siblings remembered, but it just goes to show it's a memoir and it's not all going to line up exactly. I think memories aren't the most reliable, but it was a really, really good read. I really enjoyed it, and it kind of got me into wanting to read more memoir. I gave that one a 4 out of 5 stars. My next book that I listened to was Adulting: How to Become a Grown-Up in 468 Easy-ish Steps. That is by Kelly Williams Brown. That one was more of a, I'm 22, I just graduated college, I'm in my first big girl job, so I felt that this was a good book for me because I lived in a dorm like all throughout college, so I never really had to do all of those adult stuff. This is a great book for people in their 20s. I would not recommend it to anyone else. No, I don't think you need to listen to it if you're a teenager. If you're in your 30s and you own a home or have been renting for longer than 3 years, I don't think this is applicable to you. There's still things in there that would be helpful, but there's a wide variety of stuff like, what to look for when you're renting a house, how to cook a chicken, a wide variety of stuff, but it's mostly catered towards people in their 20s that are just trying to figure out the hot mess of their lives. So I gave that one a 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't bad, it was just a long list of things. The next book that I read was The Last Namsara by Kristen Cicerelli. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed this one so much. So background is Asha is the Askari, and that is kind of like this fabled, there's the Namsara, which is like a light bringer, and it's supposed to be a savior, but to have balance, there's an Askari, which is the destroyer. And so where she lives, stories are poisonous and forbidden, and dragons are lured by stories. And so when she was a young girl, she told a story to the oldest dragon that there is. When she refused to keep telling him stories, he burned like a lot of her kingdom, and she's a princess, and burned half of her, and so she has burn scars, and so she was marked as the Askari. And to make up for everything that she's done, she becomes this dragon killer, and she hunts dragons and brings the heads to her father, the king. And she is betrothed to this really nasty guy, and the king says, if you kill this really old dragon, this really powerful dragon, the one that burned her, the one that killed a bunch of people, you can get out of the marriage. And so that is what she tries to do for most of the story. It was exactly what I wanted. I loved it so much. The pacing was great. The fact that like stories were outlawed was a really interesting concept, and the power that stories held, that was really, really interesting. And the romance in it was great. The pacing was great. The character development was pretty decent too. It wasn't anything spectacular, but there wasn't anything notable that I didn't like, so I gave it a 5 out of 5. I really, really enjoyed it. The next book that I read was Queen's Shadow. If you watched my TBR list, the books that I need to read, I saw the cover of this and died and went to heaven. I love Star Wars a lot, and I love Padme Amidala, and I have very strong feelings, and I think that they did her dirty, and she deserved so much more than Anakin. So this takes place, it's her transition from being Queen Amidala of Naboo to being the senator for Naboo. She goes to Coruscant, the capital of the Galactic Republic. She's struggling with what worked for her as queen isn't exactly the same as what will work for her as a senator. And so she has to tread through political waters and figure out how she can continue to do stuff that she's passionate about and how she can properly represent her planet, but also represent the galaxy. So I had high hopes going into this, and I was disappointed. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars because you don't really get to see more about her. She is a pretty phenomenal character, but this book just did not do it for her. The way that it was written, she comes off as just this like wet bread, like she has no personality, like she's not an individual, she is just like a senator, and that is who she is, and that's all that she is. And I felt like Natalie Portman in the movies did a really great job of giving her more spunk and more personality, and this book kind of took that away. Also, it went into Sabe, who is her main decoy. It gave her some perspective too, and it was the same thing. Sabe was a boring character, and I was just expecting more. You know, they can have personalities. You know, they had such cool jobs, and I just expected more. So 3 out of 5. And if you watched my video last week where I did a reading vlog, you saw that I read Shatter Me in one day. I listened to the audiobook and I got so wrapped up in it. I understand the hype. When you read the story, Julia has been in solitary confinement for 286 days, or, you know, somewhere almost like a whole year. She has this special ability where she'll kill you if you touch her, and she can't help it. So she gets taken by the reestablishment, and they want to use her as a weapon to further their agenda. So the reestablishment is kind of like this big bad like government thing that's controlling everybody, that forces everyone to live in compounds. It kind of reminds me of like 1984 Big Brother kind of stuff. But the way that Tahira writes it is really interesting, because she'll write things like, the girl Juliet is writing in a journal, and I think that's how it's supposed to be. I did an audiobook, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she'll type something out and then cross it out, but you can still read what it is, and then Juliet will write something else. I'm a monster, crossed out. I'm more than human. Stuff like that. And so I thought that was really, really unique. But one thing that I didn't like about her writing style is that, one, so I guess 2 things that I don't like about her writing style. She repeats things a lot. She'll do it, and she does it for like effect. She'll repeat words like 3 times in a row, and she's like, and I'm flying, and I'm flying, and I'm flying. Period, you know, and it's constantly throughout the book, and it kind of got annoying. And then another thing is she liked to use hyperboles and just like over exaggeration a lot. And so she's like, there's a million butterflies in my stomach. I'm 1,000 steps away from being I don't know, something like that. And it was just a lot of just exaggeration and a lot of numbers, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. I know some people are, but the style of writing was just, it was like too much. So that was the reason why I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. But aside from that, I really enjoyed it actually. So there's that. And those are all of the books that I read for the month of April. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please like, subscribe, comment, and be the best person in the world. Be my best friend, and follow your girl on Twitter or Instagram or Goodreads. My links are down below. That's all. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.